Is it 6 o'clock yet? Good afternoon, good evening. Regular session, Mayor and City Council meeting, 6 o'clock, Wednesday, January the 8th. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for invocation. Pastor.
Join me in prayer. Lord, thanks for your presence here at this meeting. May that presence help keep the discussions in a positive mode, especially when the topic under consideration is a controversial one. May all the actions that council takes tonight help make this city a better place to live, to work, to play, worship, and to do business in. In Jesus' blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Before we get the meeting started, I want to recognize our state representative, Andrea. Hello, Andrea. How are you doing? She represents our district, so. We're going to go with call to the public. I have one speaker form. If anybody else has a speaker form, that's all right. Keep it. Just raise your hand after this person. I know we always do that. But we'll take care of it. This is Manny Lopez. Manny Lopez is. State your name and your address for the record, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, City staff, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
First off, I want to say that I'm a little bit hesitant with what I have come here to talk about today, because I just saw city manager and two of city council members who are VFW members go inside and have a discussion on what I'm going to discuss today. I feel a little bit concerned about that discussion, something maybe I should have been a part of. But I'll continue with what I need to do, and the reason I'm here today. The letter that you have in front of you, I think everybody got a copy of it. The letter is a follow-up status inquiry as to the above 201st memorial. Approximately 2 months ago, in early November 2013, I presented plans to this council. As of this date, I have not received any communication from anyone, as you know, as you and I were assured of in early November 2013. And none of my past phone calls have been returned. This is not acceptable or reasonable. Last year, as I mentioned, in early spring, Home Depot made a commitment to the 201st project. Also, thousands of dollars in building materials and labor for our VFW building. Store manager George Leon informed me that the 201st project had a priority. But since city staff failed to address the 201st project, we lost thousands in building materials and labor. Work would have been performed during the summer and completed by Veterans Day. That didn't happen. This community has lost recognition and revenue as well due to the city staff's complacency towards the 201st project, and I'd like to know why. Complacency is a terrible thing and makes some think that the status quo is the rule instead of the exception, and should not be accepted or implemented as a favorable attribute. The word complacency interchanges with the word incompetence. With that in mind, I would like to request a short timetable as to what city staff is purported to do. Sincerely, Manny Lopez, Post Judge Advocate, Project Leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. As you know, we can't really answer any of the questions right now and come to the public. You want to listen to this, or you just want to walk away?
No, I'm listening.
Or you're listening?
Yes.
Why don't you give me a call then?
Mr. Mayor?
No, that's enough. You know, if there was a discussion in reference to that, and he's claiming that there was a discussion, maybe we should bring it back during administrative hours.
I believe I have an ability to respond to criticism.
Well, go ahead.
And criticism certainly has come forward by way of city staff. In the reference November meeting, Mr. Lopez presented another concept that would be adjacent to this fountain. City Council has invested a lot of money in this park, and the next appropriate step would be for council to weigh in on whether or not you feel it appropriate for that particular monument looking as it was presented to you in that concept to be brought forward. I am not aware of any phone calls made subsequent to that November meeting with the council. I haven't heard from you as a council, but you've received phone calls and inquiries as to where we're at. And none of my staff has brought anything forward to me by way of anything in addition to what was put forward. We've asked repeatedly for letters of information, commitments. There's no way, as with any of our projects where we partner with the private sector, we're not going to move any dirt, we're not going to do anything unless we know that there are firm commitments on the other end that it's going to be a reality. All we have at this point are reports provided from that pulpit during call to the public. Absent the original order that was approved by council saying we would work with the VFW on this 201st project, and we would welcome that type of project somewhere here on our property. Time and time again, we've asked for more than just a concept. We've asked for actual specific plans to know exactly what we're going to be constructing. And to date, if we want a professional project, we need professional information. How do we know what to build? How do we know where to build it? How do we know what kind of utilities are going to be brought forward during that type of project? And so until we get that kind of information, it's difficult to move forward. I would suggest that we place on the very next agenda a discussion point with possible action for the city council to give direction to staff that this is in fact what you want to see in your park, given the investment that you've made here at this point in time. And staff is ready to serve and move that forward if that's your desire.
Thank you.
I believe I've responded to
We're never
criticism.
be discussing anymore. We'll put it on the agenda. No, your time was up. Your time was up.
Okay, I just think that I should have a right to defend myself by
No, we can't
misrepresentation.
discuss it and call to the public. You bring it back, we're gonna put it on the agenda item, and at that time, we'll have other time to ask questions to one another.
Okay.
All right? Thank you very much. Anybody else can call to the public? Andrea? State your name and, we all know you.
I'm Representative Andrea D'Alessandro. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, and staff, and guests in the audience. This morning, I attended the Southern Arizona Lodging and Resort Association meeting in Tucson, and I'd like to share two things that they talked about. One was the I-19, the proposed I-11 highway, and Senator Steve Farley from Tucson strongly supported using I-19 and I-10 rather than another route that would bypass our cities. So that was number one. Number two, another topic that I know is dear to your heart, the film industry. And the legislature has tried to do a tax credit, and the governor made it clear that she wasn't going to go with that. She still may go for a scaled down one that is revenue neutral. No one in the state wants to give it away and not generate money. I've been informed that a new senator, not from the Navajo Nation, Senator Begay, will be introducing a bill to reopen the Arizona State Film Office, which I think will be an asset to all of us. in the spring, when one of the Tucson papers did a nice analysis of Hangover 3, I sent that to all 90 legislators and said, look, we have to, get something going here again in Arizona, because people are just flying over us, and there's a lot of revenue that is being lost. Switching topics, on Thursday, January 23rd, the Green Valley Concert Band is going over to Nogales, Sonora to perform. They're going to do some jazz, so it's fitting that the Mingus people are here, and traditional Mexican music. And I think it is a good opportunity to get the word out. A lot of people from Green Valley and Sahuarito will be going down. I'm encouraging people to stop along the way, come down and have dinner before they go over, and hopefully it'll be the first of many. It had been scheduled for October, but because of the government shutdown, it was postponed, and hopefully it'll be an annual thing. On a personal note, some of you may have been reading in the newspaper that Senator Linda Lopez has tendered her resignation, and it is effective next Monday, January 13th. The Secretary of State's office has contacted the old chair of the PEMA Board of Supervisors, Ramon Valadez. Sharon Bronson took over yesterday, and the chair of the Arizona Democratic Party. On January 18th, the elected precinct people in Democrats will vote and select 3 candidates to go forward with the to nominate to the Board of Supervisors. We expect that the Pima County Board of Supervisors will be able to vote on Tuesday, January 21st. They have to consult with their lawyers to make sure there's adequate notice. So the county administrator said they could do an addendum with an expectation that they will have the 3 names. It's a win-win situation for me. I love being your representative, but I also realize that I have some unique talents and a lot of energy, so I feel like that I'm qualified to be your senator, and I believe that the elected PCs feel that too. So thank you very much.
Andrea, can I?
Sure.
I'm not supposed to ask questions. Did you say a senator is opposing I-11?
No, not opposing it, but using existing infrastructure rather than do something to the west of us that would bypass us.
So that's I-11.
Right. No, but I mean, he wants them to use I-10 and I-19. That, and because Tucson feels that they will lose out. Everything will go.
Because everything, just for information, everything I've heard, almost all the municipalities in PAG and Maricopa are in favor of I-11.
Right. I guess it's just a matter of where it's going to go. That's up for discussion. And he's the expert on transportation.
Yeah.
That's the only committee I said, I'm not really a transportation person, so please don't put me on that one. I'll start on education, appropriations, dog sitting, whatever, but not that one. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else on top? Linda? State your name, address for the record.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. Gailey, everyone. I'm Linda Rushton, 269 West Loma Street, Nogales. And it's funny that Representative D'Alessandro was talking about films. Well, I'm here to talk about the Santa Cruz County Historic Film Festival. Joe, did you pass those? Thank you. The film festival got started last year as a one-night event at the Oasis. This year we're doing 3 nights. There'll be a gala opening reception at the 1904 courthouse from 8 to midnight on February the 7th. Then on February the 8th, Saturday, there will be 3 movies shown at the Oasis from noon to 6. They will be Oklahoma. And for all you singers, we're going to be handing out lyrics to all the songs. We're going to do David and Bathsheba. And we're also doing In Old Arizona, which is one of the first talkies that was made down in Santa Cruz County. Then on Sunday, we're doing tours to film locations, leaving out of the Americana Hotel, starting at 9:30, then 10 o'clock, then 10:15 rather, and then 11. They're about a 3.5 hour tour. And somebody reminded me that that was Gilligan's Island song. Anyway, 3.5 hours. Anyway, the website for all of you that have brochures and those of you that do not is www.santacruznatureheritage.org. You can go online, get all the information, purchase your tickets through PayPal, and I want to encourage all of you to attend. We got a call from Tucson, people in Tucson yesterday, that they are bringing a group down to spend the entire weekend in Nogales, Friday, Saturday, and staying Sunday during the day. I was delighted to see that you're going to talk about having an economic development and tourism advisory board. That is so important down here. We can't any longer just sit and hope people come. We have to work at getting them down here. So I hope you'll all attend the film festival, at least some part of it, so that when people do come down from Tucson and Green Valley, they will see our county and city representatives participating. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Is there anybody else? Call to the public? Okay, we'll continue. We'll continue with item number 5, a presentation, quarterly presentation report from the Nogales Chamber of Commerce. And we leave that, Mr. Juan, you gonna do the presentation?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Marcelino Barona. I'm the volunteer executive vice president for membership, and I am part of our presentation today for the quarterly report. I have with me Arlene Garcia, who's going to be talking to you about the brochure and our website. And then at that time, when she finishes, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I can address them at that time. Ms. Garcia.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. As Mr. Barona pointed out, my name is Arlene Garcia. I am a freelance graphic designer and website developer here in Nogales, so I'm a local. The reason why I'm here is because the Visitor Center and the Nogales Chamber of Commerce started recruiting talent, local talent here in Santa Cruz County to put together a brochure and put together other projects to really attract people to Nogales. And I find it very opportune that, you know, previous speakers here were talking about this, the film industry and other things. This is what we're gearing towards. So the brochure that was produced with a few objectives in mind. First off, it's a contractual requirement between the Visitor Center and the City of Nogales to produce material that advertises Nogales outside of our county. And to have something that presentable, something professional, something that people can take along with them when they travel, and so that for distribution, so that we can get people to start coming, you know, continue coming, let's say that, to Nogales. So the brochure, and were those passed out? Yes, perfect. So this brochure that you guys have before you, 1,000 copies were printed, and the way that they're being distributed is in visitor centers statewide. So by the backing of the Chamber of Commerce, they have the ability to trade with other chambers free of cost. So that means you give me your literature, I will give you my literature, right? So we really want to capitalize on that type of an investment, the free investment really, because we're getting Nogales out there and all visitor centers that we can muster in Arizona. We're also distributing the brochures in local hotels, so that CBP officer that came in for training, that Border Patrol agent also, whoever comes here can take back the brochure to where they're from, because what do you do after a business trip, after a vacation? You tell people where you came from, right? So we want to have them take that back. And also relocation packages. It is my understanding from statistics that I viewed that the visitor center last year in 2013 put together and sent out 99 relocation packages alone. That's completely separate from the visitors that they receive through their doors. So in those relocation packages, that's where this brochure is also going, because that's prime audience. Those are people that are already vested in coming into Nogales, and we want them to solidify their concept, of our community, and let them know what we know, why we live here, and how great it can be for them to come here too. So a brief rundown of the brochure that you have before you. The pictures were provided by Bruce from Planeta Nogales, a very talented local photographer. And what we aimed to do with these pictures is portray pictorially the images from Nogales that are not the usual images, the courthouse and this, which carry a lot of value and a lot of historical connection with Nogales. But we also want them to, the person who's viewing this brochure, to see the culture, the richness of the culture, the beauty in our nature around us, the sunsets and all that, and really start getting hyped up about coming to Nogales and seeing the different things that we can offer, right? So where do we go from here? Now we've produced these brochures, what are we going to do? The goal is to produce 5,000 brochures approximately to be able to distribute not only statewide, but then also amplify that and distribute outside of the state, and to distribute to other hotels outside of the state and any conferences, tourism conferences that might come up where somebody is sent to represent Nogales. You take the brochure with you, and that way you can start leaving pieces of Nogales out there for people to start talking and creating that buzz. So that buzz, how do we back that up? That's the second part of my presentation to you this evening, because we need to have a cohesive plan in order to sustain, to draw. So now we have that brochure. How do we get people, we've got them talking, how do we get them to come? And that's through a website that we're proposing, a tourism website, somewhere where we can advertise at Charles Venus, the film festivals, the this, the that, what the community proposes, and that would be what we want to portray Nogales, and what we want to highlight from our community. And it's very interesting because in the Christmas parade, I saw that slogan, a great little place to be, and I thought, that's great, that's what we need to portray for Nogales. And we want to do that through the brochure, through the website. And that's what I'm about. Do you guys have any questions for me?
This is good. I want to thank you.
No.
Honestly, I want to thank you. And I think the pictures and this brochure is very welcome. Okay, because it's something that we've been asking for, the city council and our administration, and it's something that actually the pictures really depict a good message of our city and our culture.
Absolutely.
Present for everybody in the four corners of the state of Arizona to look at, and I hope we're successful, but I hope down the line after you give those 1,000, make another 1,000. Okay, the more the merrier, because if we can get them outside the state of Arizona, it'd be better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Before we continue, item number 6, I have the plaques for the holiday light parade. I want to ask first: is Challenge Elementary representation here? Do we have somebody? We do. Okay, one. Do we have St. Andrew's Children's Clinic? We do. And do we have Lincoln Elementary here? Okay. Well, we'll start with the first place, the Challenger Elementary School. They won the first place on the floor.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right? Yeah. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Second place, St. Andrews Children's Clinic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And third place, I want to take her myself. I'm gonna hang in my office. We'll reach out to Lincoln Elementary School. All right. Very good. You guys look at school. Hey, let's go get you one of you guys. That's for the city council went to elementary school. We should have given it to Elm School. Yeah. Guess I'm the only one here, huh? Okay, item number 6, discussion items. Number 1, discussion direction regarding update of the Charles Mingus Memorial Project. I placed this on the agenda, members of the City Council, just to bring it back. This is an item that you remember about 2 years ago. We, as a council, we decided to partner with the Mingus, for the Mingus Memorial on a public-private partnering. And certain things happened about a year ago, funding-wise, in their area. When we first came and we started, and I put this on the agenda about 2 years ago, we were committed as a city to donate the property, and which we did right on the corner of the cemetery there on Bejarano and Western Avenue, which is ideal because that's where the actual entryway for Camp Little is, and where Charles Mingus was born. So we came up with that, and at that time, the Mingus group, they were going to come up with funding to buy materials, and so we're going to be working together to get it done. So what we want to do this year is get it started. They have already come up with some money for the first phase, which probably will get the whole structure built, not to completion, but enough to get something there, hopefully by the 20th of April, which is what we want to do. What we're going to be working on is probably, at this point, we're not sure if we're going to be relocating the manhole that's there and putting it down the street, or sealing it with the same area of concrete. It's something we're working on right now. But we're going to start that with the city, and then we're going to start digging the foundation or the footings so that they can purchase the concrete to pour the footings and then start constructing the stage area. I don't know if you noticed in your, I don't think there was a staff summary submitted, but
There were reports, though.
yeah, there were reports that the original stage was going to be on the back facing the fence. Remember we had talked about that, the length of it? There was some concern. Some of the residents that they have their loved ones buried in the cemetery there, they like to sit there and actually look out and while they're visiting. So we came up with another concept, and we put it on the opposite corner on the east side. Little bit of it's going to be taken where there's no burial sites, and then it's going to be extended towards the street, and it's going to have a sitting area on the long side. It's going to have a stage. It's going to have an entrance in the back, the wall where the mosaic that I'm going to be donating myself to the Mingus project for a memorial. We're going to do electrical. We're going to run the conduit from the post and everything. So right now, the biggest task is to do the footings, to take care of that manhole so we can get started. There was a letter submitted by Mr. Pontes, who is a contractor, cement finisher. He's going to be helping, donating his time to do that. I've already contacted 2 bricklayers that are going to be helping me also donate their time. So it's going to be a community project. Maybe when we start constructing, if you are willing to put some gloves on and be part of this, we'll gladly have everybody there. All the people in yellow there, they're representing Mingus. they're gonna be wearing gloves too, and little hats and everything, and so we're gonna be working out there. You're gonna see us working. I'm gonna be working on this project because it's something that I had talked to them several years back, and I had committed myself to volunteer my time and to do a mosaic, kind of like the one I did for the city, and I donated to the city, except it's gonna be 3 times the size of this. So this is just for your information. So there's really nothing here except for us to give direction to the city and Mr. Dilly that once we get started, we're gonna be using some of the equipment in the city for the backhoe to cut the holes and the footings and stuff like that. So that's just for your information, okay?
Make sure you get a blue stake for that area.
No, we will. No, we will. Well, we're gonna run some conduit, underground conduit, Mr. Barazo, to the post that's right by the fence of the cemetery. We're gonna get the power from that. This is the thing. Once it's built and the stage is there, the group wants to have little concerts there during the spring and the summer, and also every April, you know, for the memory of Charles Mingus, and it's historical, actually. It's something that's going to be a monument that everybody's going to look at, and if anybody has questions, it's going to be there. It's going to be identifiable, and it's going to be very important for us. So, with your blessing, we're going to get started on it. Okay?
Tomorrow.
Mr. Dilly?
Yes, sir.
All right, so tomorrow? Yeah. Let's do tomorrow, when you guys are gone. No, we're just gonna, Mr. Dilly, well, I'll talk to you about how we're gonna direct that and get it going. And I wanna thank everybody from the Mingus Project for being here and for being patient. I know it's not only patient in our side, you know, but I know you guys had to get a lot of funds for it, and I know this will get us through the first phase. But while we're constructing, let's look for more funds and stuff, and let's hope that we can get it. It'd be nice if we could get the majority of it completed by the 20th of April. I want to thank you very much. All right? Thank you. This is a great project, people. Come on. Okay, item number 2, discussion, possible action, Palo Duro Golf. This has been under discussion for several meetings, and Mr. Pará, Mr. Doyle brought it back. So, do you want to open it up?
Yes.
Mr. Pará?
I'd like to update what's been done so far. If there any communication between the neighborhood, the individuals there, or another group, what ideas they have.
Mr. Dilly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In short, on that update, and due to the holidays, there have not been any scheduled meetings, and we have not engaged the general public on the dialogue or the matter before us. I would like to take advantage of the opportunity, since this is on the agenda for discussion, to reassert a commitment from the council that this is really a direction that you want to undertake. The presentation that we had way back when we had an expert of sorts come in and give a presentation and lay out some options for the council to consider, the best feasible option still required a sizable investment from the city's contingency fund. I don't know the exact number, but I'm thinking it was in the area of between $250,000 and $300,000, just to get it up and going and operational, let alone the reoccurring operating costs to make it stay open and afloat. Given the dialogue of the past couple of months relative to some of the commitments that we've made as a city, I wanted to know that that was still something that you wanted staff to pursue, and this item allows us to have that kind of discussion so that staff is clear in our charge and what do you expect us to do as elected officials. So I'm interested in taking that kind of input from you at this point in time. Given the holidays are behind us, if the direction from council is no different than it was in November when we talked about this, then we're clear as staff, and we'll schedule those meetings that we previously talked about.
Well, as long as we get in touch with the neighborhood on Meadow Hills, in case we can't afford a golf course, what options can they come up with? Maybe some they have better ideas than we have, being that they're living there, they don't wanna lose any of their property taxes, you know, they wanna keep their homes up on tap for what they paid for. So if we can, communicate with them, get a meeting with them, just lay it on the table and say, what options do you think we can come up with?
So good. Good
In your
direction.
input, that's,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
if that, if
No,
that's the
Basically,
consensus.
basically what we had talked about. Yes, Mr. Diaz?
Excuse me. It's great to have dialogue with all the residents of Meadow Hills and all that. But I think with all the money we've been spending, I don't think we should tap into the contingency fund, especially to the tune of $300,000 plus occurring monies to bring the golf course up. I think we should maybe donate the use of the building to the schools maybe, you know, anything, music, culinary, that'd be an idea that I would have, is donate the use of the building, the structure there, to the schools so they can maybe do something with it, vocational school or something, and they can maintain the building and we can let them use it rent-free so it won't be just sitting there empty as another option. Because, you know, we really can't afford to spend $300,000 plus ongoing expenses with everything that's going on right now.
Hence the need for this kind of discussion, because really, you know, staff needs to move forward one way or the other to support the desire and will of council. But if council needs to have discussion amongst themselves to figure out what exactly they really want to happen, that needs to occur before staff can be expected to move forward, so.
I think the first step would be contacting the residents or have the meeting with them. You know, because a lot of people, that's gotta go for approval from the neighborhood if you want a school, which I think they won't go for it because of the traffic and the side of the roadways. You know, it's one of the reasons that I think it will work. Get input from them. Maybe they have a better idea than we have. Maybe they're willing to do something to help us out, to maintain the building, or something that they really want to have it, they can approve to have it. So that'd be the first step. Contact the residents here, I would say.
Well, that'd be key to start the meetings, is contacting them.
Yeah.
And then, but it'd be good to, not only when you contact them, that we have an outline on it, you know, an outline of possible ideas, because, yes, it's easy to come up with ideas, and like Councilman Diaz said, you know, I've talked to several residents from there, Mr. Tony.
Yes, sir.
They're not interested in putting money into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
at all.
kind of get the same impression.
Okay,
just-
they're not interested, they want the city to do it. So what, that puts us in a situation that, do they want us to do everything and make our decision, or do we want their decision and our money to back it? There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of ways to doing it, but if we have an outline of what we think as a city economically feasible would be for that area, and talk to, you can have one of your staff to talk to somebody in the restaurant business, saying, do you think you would make a business out of it? Do you think this is economically feasible for you to do it? And we know what the golf people told us, that if we want to do it, we have to come up with $380,000 for us, and that's what we're going to be paying them, what, every year? Something like that?
No, that was seed money to get it going.
And then?
And then it really is whatever the market would bear, and.
But there was, it'd be a loss every year.
Well, that particular model was the one that just barely broke even about $1,000 or $6,000 a year. But I gotta tell you, Mr. Mayor and Council, and I really enjoy golfing. I honestly, seriously question the marketability of a golf course in this particular economy in this time, in this day and time. I mean, you look at what's happening around us, and those, all of those indicators point to the same outcome. You know, so I don't know. You know, we've tried to ask ourselves the hard question as an organization: is there some other use for that property? I'm not just talking about the building, I'm talking about the property. is there another use? Will that property bear another legitimate use? And for a lot of good reasons, we have struggled as an organization to allow our minds to think much further past, well, it's gotta be some kind of golf, some kind of park, something along those lines in a restaurant. We've gone out to bid 3 times. We put RFPs out three different times. We've modified that RFP based off of input that we received from the public, and with the assurance that you make these changes to the RFP, and we're gonna come forward and we're gonna put our name in the hat for consideration. And each time we did that, how many came forward, Joe? So, you know, you can ask restaurant goers, you can ask whatever you want, and the question still exists. What are we gonna do on that piece of property? You know, property owners out there are gonna want to have a say in what that property is used for. I would imagine they wouldn't want it to be used for any kind of industrial use, right? We don't want it to be used for anything like that. We want whatever the outcome is to be a benefit to the whole community, certainly to that neighborhood. But I don't know if we forced ourselves into the hard discussions, something that would require us to think outside of the box a little bit. Because doing so, you realize that you might not make everybody happy on that. If we did go out to the community, and meaning the neighborhood, I would prefer that we didn't go in hand with any idea, other than we have done the research on bringing this property back to life as a golf course, and here's what it's going to cost the city, and we've determined as an organization, as a city, that we can't absorb that cost. So basically, we're laying that out, and we're saying, hey, here's where we're at with that idea. Let's think: are there other ideas that this neighborhood would be warm to in terms of an alternative use? Now, I can assume that a lot of the property owners out there, if we can't have a golf course, then they're going to want manicured lawn. Okay, think about it, right? That's pretty reasonable. I think if I was a property owner, that would be my next idea that I'd throw out there. But we've also ventured along those lines, and we know that's an additional hit to the general fund because we don't have the equipment or the manpower to go out, water those areas and mow them. You know, we're going to have to brainstorm and allow the residents to throw their ideas on the table, not stomping on anything, you know, really. Just allow the opportunity for input. See what we get. We can bring that input back to the council and say, well, we've reached out to your constituency in that neighborhood in the form of a public, you know, type meeting. And here's what they have given us by way of input. And then we can just have another study session on those results and just talk about whether or not there's an idea that has come forward that seems to have some merit and work for us budget-wise and everything else. So.
Okay, I think, yeah, you're right. Well, maybe I spoke just a little ahead when I said an outline, you know, because an outline basically is going to give you an idea of what we should have there, but also what we shouldn't have.
Yes.
Like, for instance, as a city, you don't want to sell that land because you know who's going to buy it, and they're going to develop homes there that those people are not going to like at the time unless everything is set. And so there's certain things we do not want to do, but we do want to have that land to improve, like Mr. Parra said, you know, the property value of those homes, because a lot of those homes and a lot of those people did build their home there for that reason, because it was a golf course. And I don't know if it was much because of the Palolur or the restaurant itself, but the restaurant was attached to the golf course at the time. But like Mr. Parra says, I think the best thing to do is just try to reach out at this point, I guess. But,
Mr. Machado, is it possible to, if we know what we don't want to have happen on that piece of property, is it possible, and I'm talking about the whole, is it possible to sell that piece of property with deed restrictions in place to take care of those things we know we don't want to have happen?
Yes.
So as an option. As an option. Zoning and land, land use plans and zoning would take care of a lot of the things we know we don't want to have there, like industrial use or, heavy commercial use or anything like that. And then for those things that the land use plans and the zoning plans don't cover, then we add to it through the deed restrictions. I'm just saying, I don't want to lock our minds to any type of idea. We need to really keep our minds open and consider everything, because we don't know what's going to come out at the end of this process. So just keep our minds open on that.
good idea. Go ahead, Councilor.
One of the things that I was thinking is, you're gonna have that meeting out there with the homeowners, would it be peaceful to have it there at the courtyard? They clean it up a little, get a nice afternoon and invite everybody out, so you and some of us council members can go out there and sit with the residents and just, get some of that input.
There's a couple of different approaches to having these types of tabletop exercises with the public. We could pick a date and a place that would house whatever type of public wanted to show up for that. Or we could break it into, more smaller areas, and we'd have maybe 2 or 3 meetings in different places where it's a little more close to, to where people are living, a little more convenient. Either way, whatever date and time is set and whatever location is set, the council is going to be well aware of that, so that you can participate however you want to participate.
The things to get it going.
Okay.
Thank you for the further direction.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the others. Item number 3. Discussion and possible action. Update sales tax revenue, sales tax audit. Councilman Parada and Councilman Doyle placed this on the agenda.
I'm glad we have some of the auditors here, so we can ask some of those questions here. As you know, we haven't, we're gonna have our sales tax, working more properly and so forth. I just wonder if you have made any audits on some of the businesses. If you have, I'd like to have a list of people you audit in town.
I'm sorry, who's the comment towards?
Who's it to?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Fuller.
Well, you have to be on the podium and identify yourself and your address, please, for the record.
Mayor and Council.
Go ahead.
Albert Holler. I live in Gilbert, Arizona. I've been your auditor since 1993. The audit function is ongoing at all times, but due to confidentiality restrictions by law, no elected official is supposed to have any financial information in regard to any business. We're restricted, very restricted in what information we give. But I can tell you in general that we've performed 390 audits during this time that I've been here, both occupational and also for sales taxes. The assessments are 1.7 million net. That's after adjustments and penalty waivers, and you have collected approximately $1 million from the businesses that we audit.
This is in the last, what, years?
Yeah, most of them is in the last 8 years, probably.
8 years?
Most of it.
$1 million, you mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the billion is total
The whole
since
thing?
2003, the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So for 20 years now.
So just one question, I hope I'm not out of line, but the audits, when you do it, you do it randomly? Yes.
Yeah, we do random audits.
Yeah, you random
That's part of it.
audits, yeah. And basically, when you do find somebody that something's there, then it's up to you to make sure that person or that business knows that there's some money owed to the city. Is that the way it is?
We go out, we send them a letter that they're under audit, we perform the audit. We send all the paperwork to the city. The city then sends the assessment officially certified, and they have an audit. They have 45 days to pay. If they don't pay within 45 days, they get another letter saying you have 10 days to pay up. And if they don't, well then collection measures are in order.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. John.
Al, you need to stay there. Okay?
All right.
But I'm gonna make a quick comment. Internally, let me just explain how at least businesses might pop up on the radar for an audit, in addition to the random audits that, you know, that occur. We really have two different levels of review as it relates to sales tax money coming in. The first level of review is the actual staffer that's entering the numbers as they're coming in their reports. And the second level of review is our hired employee that is just out there, you know, pushing businesses to make sure we're getting collections going. Okay, we have so on either of those two levels, and that staffer that handles the collections gets out there and meets with the businesses and pushes them to do you know, to do right on their reports. Both of them are looking at these numbers coming in on their reports, and they're watching. So if there's an influx in those numbers, let's say that a vendor or a business decides or actually reports 0 sales, but we know, because we're driving around town, we know our businesses, that there's business happening. Obviously, that's a red flag, and that type of item, or if there's an influx, all of a sudden they've been reporting this types of sales, and then all of a sudden it tanks down here, and there's no sales or very little sales, whatever. Big adjustments. Those also bring up the red flags. In either case, those types of issues get discussed with Angel, with Aaron, and with Mr. Holler, and they decide how best to approach that particular situation. Does it require an audit from Mr. Holler, or does that require internal staff doing something different with that business? I've been across the table with businesses, and it's a very delicate situation. The sales tax is due and owed to the city. They charged it to the consumer paid it, and they haven't paid the city. Okay, there's legality issues to this, but at the end of the day, what staff tries to do is walk that delicate walk with business. Do we have a right to shut them down? Absolutely, given the situation. But doing so means that we're not going to collect anything, right? And we're going to affect jobs and things like that. So 9 times out of 10, we're trying to work with the business to come up with a payment plan to bring themselves whole and current with the city. And truth be told, it's a difficult thing to catch up on past due balances like that with businesses. I think they really struggle with that. Obviously, the best approach is not to get in arrears. You charge the sales tax, you remit it to the state or to the city, and not worry about it. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way, and we have to walk that delicate walk. So I just wanted to let you know how a lot of times those things come up on the radar, and why we engage somebody like Mr. Holler to come down and help us out with that stuff.
I have a question. So you do the city does a monitoring, or your staff does. Do they do the kind of a visual monitoring? Like, say you have 2 businesses that have been doing pretty much the same in sales, and you notice that one all of a sudden drops on their sales and drops on their revenue, and you do like a visual where maybe staff goes and just kind of notices that there's a lot of customers going still to the whole store, or you make comparisons like that?
I know that over time, our employees get to know the trends and practices of these businesses. They report on a monthly basis. And so when there's a deviation, those are things that bring something up on the radar, and we end up having a dialogue with Mr. Holler about it.
So
as far as the comparisons between one business and another, I don't know to what extent that occurs, but I do know that if you're processing these numbers day after day, month after month, you get to know, just like the water consumption, Angel, you know, you can probably ask them, hey, what's the water consumption on an average month for Denny's? Or whatever, right? And because you're doing that month after month after month, he can probably spit that number out and it's gonna be reasonably close. So our staff gets to know the trends of these businesses, and we get to know that, you know, and when there's a variance, it comes up on the radar that way.
And then you react to it right away.
Yeah, we react to it.
Well, I'm glad you showed up. We knew you were working, I said, what's going on? Because I'm really concerned about the sales tax. You know, I'm making sure that everybody's got it fairly, and in every business. That's why.
Yeah, that's it. It's everybody pays their fair share, and that's the way the city has looked at it historically. You know, and we look at you know, like he mentioned, we looked at it, and then I do my own analysis that I use in the business, you know, to select some audits if necessary.
Well, Mr. Parada, Mr. Doyle, were you concerned of certain businesses, or that you put this on the agenda?
Yeah, I was concerned about if every business was being added, like a whole Morty and Grand, making sure that everyone is added. That's why I'm concerned, but if we just go random, I thought, you know, that Disney blank there.
Well, it seems like we don't really have to worry about it. It looks like they're keeping a closed tab on it. That's the important thing. That's mainly what we wanted
Well,
to get to.
as he said, there's been $1 million collected, and
Oh, yes, there's been $1 million, and there's a little more that I have to update a little bit more on that. But we also did a few years ago, we did a canvas of the community. We started there at the border of, you know, Morley Avenue, and walked every business all the way to Bankers, and then of course the industrial park and back through here. And so we contacted every business that we could see, and then we documented whether they had a license, and then whether they were delinquent, and whether they had an occupational license necessary. And we did generate a substantial amount of audits from the canvas, which was good. We discovered a lot of businesses that were not licensed. That's been 6 years ago. We're probably due for another one.
Maybe
basically
we
that's
should
what-
look at that, Mr.
Yeah.
Mullins. Maybe we should. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we spoke
basically,
about
I
it
think
with-
that's what our employee does too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he visits the businesses. Was this before we had our employee do that, Mr.?
Oh, yes, it was before.
Yeah,
you-
it was
that's correct.
before, huh?
Yes.
Because I think our employee does a very good job.
Okay, good.
I see him all over,
Oh, you see
around
around?
town, all over the place. Yeah, he's really keeping up to everything. Well, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you, Albert.
Same. Nice to see you.
Is that it, Mr. Parada?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, under discussion, possible action, finance director status. Mr. Parada, Mr. Doyle placed this on the agenda too, so.
Well, we've been after, what, 6 months? That, more that Mrs. Ramirez left the position.
Mrs. Ramirez left the position at the end of April.
Anyway,
We appointed an interim thereafter to carry us through the approval of the budget. And after the budget was approved in June, we posted the position, and I think that went out public either late July or the first part of August. So we've been publicly advertising an open position since then.
okay, in your publishing of the position, what salary did you put in it?
As typical with all the positions that we've posted, we list the minimum of the salary range up to what we have budget authority to spend.
We have, what, 84,000?
84,000.
And that
And so we posted, I think it's 66,000 at the minimum to 84,000 depending on qualification.
And, well, there's a question on as far as minimum, and when you say minimum qualifications, what are the maximum qualifications? What's the range there between?
We don't identify a maximum on the qualifications. We do identify preferences. You know, if you have this or that, that's preferred. But job descriptions just typically, and you'll find this in all of them throughout the organization, they'll list specifically minimum qualifications. So you have to at least qualify yourself to meet those minimums or exceed those minimums in order to apply for them.
Could you tell us what the minimum?
I don't have the job description in front of me, but I know that bachelor's degree is requested in appropriate fields, public administration, municipal finance, that kind of stuff. And I think the minimum is 5 years of experience, and that experience is qualified by having progressive management experience behind it. I think I don't have it in front of me, but it's something along those lines. A master's degree is preferred.
Well, if you put 66,000 in the big point, 84,000. I don't think you're going to get a competent individual for that salary. I think this department is the most important department there is in the city. And there's a lot of problems in the department. I mean, there's a lot of work for a department head. I think if at one time we didn't have any applicants, and maybe it was because of the projected salary that was put on. And he should have said, I'm not getting any good candidates, but if you would come over and give them a change of salaries on the application, maybe we can get somebody that's really competent, a real good one, to come out with us, and maybe Siegel could give us a hand on it, or even the city and towns could give us a hand on it. This time we worked in the county, we had Siegel working with us, and because city and towns, they got us one.
So we are working with, just so you know, we are working with the League of Cities. They've allowed us to work through their website and network with all the resources and connections that they have. We've reached out to the GFOA, which is the Finance Officers Association for Arizona, and made sure that our advertisement was published there. We've worked through local papers up to regional papers. We've gone over into Sierra Vista, the Herald, things along those lines to advertise. A variety of online sources. I don't know if it's job.com or whatever, career.com, Career Builder. The International City Managers Association has a strong career recruitment function on their website that we've posted it on as well. We did make some change to not only where we're posting it, but to that particular salary line, and maybe that's attributed to the fact that we have 3, maybe 4 candidates that have applied at this point in time that seem to have met or exceeded the minimum qualifications. Obviously, I would be a fool to not accept additional budget authority from the council as it relates to any of my director positions with recruitment. But I don't know what to ask for. It's a whole different story for me if I've gone through the recruitment process and I have a top candidate, and that person is bringing certain experience, certain expertise that they feel justifies themselves in being able to demand more than what we have to offer. Then at least I have somebody I can present that person to the council, and I can say, council, here's the experience that they're bringing to the table, and market would have them paid at this level. My budget authority is here. I'm asking you to give me more budget authority so that we can bring this person on. That's a much better position for me, because I know what I'm talking about, and I know what we have to offer the council for considering additional budget authority. It's just a little premature for me because I haven't finished the recruiting process, and I'm not in that situation right now. I'd be happy to, knowing that the council's interested, very happy to go through this process, and if that's the case at the end of the day, feel comfortable coming to you and saying, hey, this is what I got, and this is how it's going to benefit the city, and I need more budget authority to make it happen, and we can go that route.
My other question would be, and those applicants that you have right now, do you have anybody there with a master's or that has that kind of experience that working somewhere else in another city government where they can come in and just pick up, you know, because going through that GASB 45 and the things that we're gonna be looking for
Yeah.
the next few years, 40 million, that, you know, I imagine that we're not that far off from paying what probably cities this size pay for their finance directors. What is the normal, that would be the other second question, what's the normal top pay that they get? I mean, are we gonna risk for a few thousand, you know, making mistakes down the road that's gonna cost us in 100,000s, you know?
So the best answer to that question would come at the end of a compensation study. Because what the consultant does is they benchmark our organization against other like organizations in the state and maybe elsewhere that have a similar demographic or dynamic to the organization.
But that information should be able to, you should be able to get
I
it pretty
can,
quick.
the league, no,
No?
the league, that's why you do these studies, Councilman, that's why you do these studies.
Okay.
The league though does provide a salary comparison schedule that we can tap, and basically what it does is it says, it clumps all the organizations, all the communities of certain size together, and you can see what they pay the city manager, what they pay assistant city manager, directors, you know, all the way down through the organization. It's not exactly a science, it's not really an apple-to-apple comparison in all facets, but it does give you a general idea. And if an employee was coming forward, a candidate was coming forward and saying, hey, you know, I'm worth $115,000. That's what I demand. That's what I can demand because of my background, what I have to offer. I can then go to that source at the League of Arizona Cities and just kind of say, okay, well, does anybody in our category of population, does anybody support somebody like that? You know, there are finance directors out there, municipal finance directors that, you know, that get paid $180,000 a year, $200,000 a year.
You're talking about
So-
big cities.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying though. Somebody with that caliber, you know, could apply, but their demand would be far more than what we could bear as a.
But they also have a $3 billion budget.
Yeah, they do.
We don't need that. We
We're
need
talking
somebody
52 million here.
at the same, almost at the same population that we have. And see from those cities how much they can pay. The Quick Creek, how much were you paying him there? Or Wickenburg, how much were you paying for that finance director?
Well, that's only 6,000 people.
Okay, how much were you paying on 6,000 people?
So, as a city manager, I was getting $70,000 a year.
Okay.
Okay, so finance director was less than that.
That's 6,000 people population.
What's that?
That's 6,000 people
That's,
population.
when I was there, it was 6,700 people.
We can measure with Senorista, San Luis, and get information from them and Douglas.
Yeah, and that comparison that the league has probably already does that
Yeah,
homework.
that's what they're gonna do.
Okay.
So,
Is that it?
Well, that's what we
Okay.
need to- In other words, we need to get the best we can here for $1.
agreed.
We have to get something good.
One thing I'm gonna tell you that I know of, that if you decide to come to the city council to a budget adjustment for $150,000 for a city manager,
Finance director?
no finance director, then you're gonna want 150 yourself. And then I know our police chief probably deserves 120. And Letty, and then we're gonna be at a quarter, the city
Hector's ready.
Hector, the city manager. We're gonna get the ball rolling. You just can't adjust it for one guy because he's Superman. Yeah, you know, I'm sure you got some people that you're gonna be interviewing, and I hope we get somebody that's qualified and fits our budget right now.
I won't bring anybody forward as a new hire in that position that's not qualified. Let me
Yeah, I know.
I'll just promise you that.
I know that.
Your budget of $84,000 for the position, remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
84. 84. That's the top 84. Number 5, discussion possible action on rescheduling regular council meeting of February 5th, 2014 to February 12th, 2014.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Ayes have it. Consent agenda, liquor license. Let me see, consent agenda, there's 1 through 3.
You can throw minutes in that as well.
And the minutes also. Okay. Is there a second? Consent agenda? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Orders. Order, consideration possible action of order 2014-01-001.
So moved. Second.
Discussion, I have discussion, this is legal. Joe, can you tell me what's about? Well, here's the budget, here's another word here. Keyword, budget, see?
Budget.
No.
Is
Go
your
ahead.
message, you're okay?
I'm just moving, money from one line item within the budget to another line item within the budget. It's not increasing the budget as a whole.
Within your
Within the
budget.
department. And the reason I'm doing that is quite frankly, it was a mistake when we were discussing, when we're making the budget, it was just a mistake. We had all intended that be a certain amount, but in the process, wasn't entered in that amount.
And what is this movement for? What?
It's a salary for the deputy city attorney,
Oh, for Mike?
for Mike Massey.
For Mike Massey. What is the amount?
$15,000.
$15,000?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? No? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Consideration possible action of order 2014-01-002. Second,
Second for discussion.
go ahead.
This advisory group here is going to concern something like, it's working with the Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Department, working all together.
What are we talking about?
Number 2.
Number 2. The ambulance.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. Is there still discussion? Go ahead, Councilman Diaz.
On our budget, didn't we budget 250,000?
You know, I can't remember.
When we did the budget for 2 ambulances, I think it was 250.
What was it that we budgeted for the ambulances? Do anybody out there remember?
It was 250, wasn't it?
This is coming from the lease, the capital lease.
Right.
So it would be a little different. It wouldn't come out of that particular line item. It would come out of the principal and interest line item in the budget. So since the budget occurred, I think that there's been a change. Chief, that's correct, right? So we're not drawing on that one line item. It got wrapped into that, the capital list that you guys approved in December for that loan.
So are we gonna be spending more money for the same equipment, or how's that gonna play out?
Please, Aaron? Or Chief, whichever.
No, Eric, go ahead.
If you want, I can answer the question
Go ahead.
in general. So what was presented to the council, I think it was in December meeting, to move ahead with the US Bank Corp lease. Attached to that agreement was a list of equipment with estimated prices. Also, each department had a total amount of money allocated to that department for the various items. Like I said, the numbers were estimates. I think this one came in a little bit higher because of the new year, so there were new quotes, so the numbers went up just a little bit. The important thing that we're communicating to our department directors is that the department itself does not expend more than what was allocated to it. And so the money within that department, may have some give and take there.
But specifically, the question is, if it was budgeted as a separate line item thank you, Chief. If it was budgeted as a separate line item in the budget, well, Aaron, you're not totally released there.
Yes, what do you think?
Aaron and Chief, if it was budgeted as a separate line item, meaning we weren't contemplating the purchase of an ambulance through this loan. We were just gonna go out and we had budgeted in a separate line item. And then we've got the capital loan, and we're gonna purchase now through the loan. What happens to that other line item?
So the purchase of ambulances was not contemplated in the budget.
Okay, thank you.
It's not called out in any line items. It was originally called out in our May meeting when we were contemplating renewing the similar type of lease that we have now introduced.
Thank you. Back to you. Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, good evening. The difference between the two, to answer your question, Councilman, is that the company itself does not include the sales tax and license plates. And that was the difference that it told the finance director. So within the approval of our amount, total amount, we're not gonna even exceed that amount. Due to the fact that another line item that we were requesting, we did get a previous grant, so those monies were used for that. So the difference was the license plates and the tax that is charged here locally.
So it's about $60,000 for license plates and tax? Ouch.
Tax is about
20,000?
20. 10%.
Okay. Thank you.
Is it okay?
Thank you very much.
Ready? So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 3. Could we take like a 5 minute before we get into that item? Just 5 minutes. Could we? I just gotta stretch my leg, and we don't have a vice mayor, so. We're in love. You know what? You're in luck for this. He's sick. But he'll be sitting next to you.
It's been going pretty smooth so far.
And Mr.